We're in the middle of peace negotiations with Iran. We have had ups and downs in that relationship. Obviously, we're negotiating with them because we do not agree with them. See, we don't want them to have any nuclear program, not a nuclear weapons program, not a nuclear energy program. We're on the other side of the table. They're our enemies. We are negotiating with them. You don't get to negotiate with your allies. That would be pointless. But overall, we've done a pretty good job. We've got the IAEA in there and the atomic energy, folks over at the United Nations are saying that Iran is complying. They had a hiccup recently, but overall, for a long period of time, they're complying. Now, if they're not complying, then the deal is off. That's the whole point of the deal, right? So that's what we're working on, and there's a deadline coming up, and the president's been working on it. Now, the Republicans don't like this deal, so they want to make sure that they torpedo it. Now, one of the ways that they try to torpedo it is they brought some other country's leader to speak to us like he's our president, like a State of the Union, and they gave him nonstop standing ovations, over 50 of them. Yes, yes, please be our leader instead. That was, of course, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and he told us we shouldn't do the deal. Well, that's like your opinion, man, and I really couldn't care less what the German Prime Minister thinks, the Israeli Prime Minister. Gee, I wonder what the King of Siam thinks. I don't care. And you shouldn't care if you're our representatives and not some other country's representatives. Okay, so now that wasn't enough, so they've decided that they're going to go ahead and try to scuttle the deal in another way. Now they're going to go and write a letter to the leaders of Iran. Well, isn't that cute? Our right-wing zealots have become pen pals with their right-wing zealots. In some ways it makes sense. But these are the same Republicans who told us, oh my God, the Dixie Chicks, they were outside the country and they criticized Bush. How dare they? Nancy Pelosi once went to another country and criticized our, how could they? How could they criticize our dear leader, George W. Bush? But they have the audacity to write this letter to Iran. It is 47 senators led by Tom Cotton from Arkansas. He's a new senator, and he's decided that he's going to get some publicity out of this. And here's what the letter says. It has come to our attention while observing your nuclear negotiations with our government that you may not fully understand our constitutional system. A nice patronizing start. First, under our Constitution, while the President negotiates international agreements, Congress plays a significant role of ratifying them. That's actually slightly incorrect. In the case of a treaty, the Senate must ratify it by a 2/3 vote. Anything not approved by Congress is a mere executive agreement. So actually the president ratifies, the Senate has to give consent. Doesn't matter, the Senate still votes on it. So it's a little off on the wording, but generally the right concept. Now that's not usually how we do things. For example, when Ronald Reagan was in negotiation with the evil empire, as he called it, with the Soviet Union. Can you imagine if Democrats wrote a letter to Gorbachev saying, hey, Reagan, he doesn't represent us, just a piece of paper. If he signs anything where we're reducing nuclear arms, don't believe it. We're going to screw him over. We're going to screw you over. We're not going to listen to peace. We're never going to have peace. And we'll rip that piece of paper up. Could you imagine? Could you? But that's exactly what they're doing. They're writing a letter to the Ayatollah saying, we disrespect our leader. We don't care about our leader, even though he's supposed, this is his job. His job is to figure out the treaties. Then you get a job later to vote on them, to give consent. But no. They are going out of their ways to undermine our president in an international degree. Honestly, I've never seen before in my lifetime. Never. This is unprecedented. I've seen people disagree with the president, of course, but to write a letter to our enemies saying we're not going to listen to our leader. That's unbelievable. More from the letter. We will consider any agreement regarding your nuclear weapons program that is not approved by the Congress as nothing more than an executive agreement between President Obama and Ayatollah Khamenei. The next president could revoke such an executive agreement with a stroke of a pen, and future Congresses could modify the terms of an agreement at any time. In other words, you can tear that negotiation up, that you got a treaty, who cares? We're going to light it on fire. So don't bother giving any concessions, because when we give concessions, we don't mean it. We will betray our word to you. The word of the President of the United States when negotiating a treaty means nothing, because we will stab him in the back. What an unbelievable letter! Reuters reports the letter, first reported by Bloomberg News, in fact, followed a speech to a joint meeting of Congress last week by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who warned that the United States was negotiating a bad idea with Tehran. I see. So Republican leaders, you do have a leader, right? Republican senators. Your leader is the prime minister of a different country. It would be outrageous if it was Canada. It would be outrageous if it's Israel. It doesn't matter if they're your top ally. It doesn't matter how close you are to them. You just say, no, I won't do a peace treaty done by our president because a foreign leader disagrees with it. Dick Durbin says, he's now, of course, he's among the Democratic senators that supports the president on this, says, understand that if these negotiations fail, a military response to Iran developing their nuclear capability becomes more likely. These Republican senators should think twice about whether their political stunt is worth the threat of another war in the Middle East. You think I'm angry now? I haven't even gone Unchained yet. Let's do it. How dare you? How dare you do this? See, now these senators get to say, we don't care about a majority of the Senate. We're not a majority of the Senate. We don't care about the House. We don't care about any other branch of government, and obviously the President of the United States and the Commander-in-Chief. Remember when the Republicans would claim the Commander-in-Chief means something, and you must bow your head to the Commander-in-Chief? Now they spit in his face. They say Obama can't get along with these guys. How on God's green earth could you get along with people like this, who undermine you at every step? Here they are. They're burning our peace negotiations right in front of our eyes. And they know the only alternative is war. So if we can't get a negotiation because they just torpedoed it, then they'll turn around and go, oh, what can we do? I guess we had to go to war and have your kids go die because of this letter. You think Tom Cotton's going to send his kids? You think these 47 senators are going to go? Remember, these are all chicken hawk pieces of shits. Remember Dick Cheney? Oh, I got 5 deferments from Vietnam because, quote, I had better things to do. That's the neoconservative Republican that started the Iraq war, would love to start an Iran war. That's the kind of guys these guys are listening to. Tom DeLay, 7 deferments. Minorities took my spot in Vietnam. That's the kind of guys these guys are. They're not sending their kids. They're going to send your kids to die. Why? They make a lot of money off of war. Defense contractors give these guys donations, independent expenditures, etc. They got money to make. They got money to make. Undermine the president, undermine the country, undermine our peace and security. Who gives a damn? The whole point of this negotiation is to make sure that Iran ends any nuclear program they have. And that's the point, that they have to sign an agreement saying the IAEA from the United Nations goes in and verifies absolutely that you are not doing a nuclear weapons program. Now, if we don't get that agreement, then we can't send in the United Nations. We can't verify that. And they could do a nuclear program. And then what are you going to do? You're going to go to war immediately, or are you going to go to war after they get the nukes? The whole point of the negotiations is to stop the nukes. But now they're going to go and try to ruin it. These people are un-American. They are borderline traitors to this country. If it happened under Bush, it would have been the world on fire. And now, where's the rest of our press? Where are those losers at CNN and others? What are you doing? Are you holding the government accountable? Are you telling it like it is? No, you're hiding under your desk, right? Oh, some say this and some say others. Some say we should commit treason against the president in the middle of peace negotiations. And some say that we shouldn't. Okay, let's call it even. Where are you? This is one of the worst things I have seen in foreign policy in my lifetime, to undermine our sitting president like this. I disagree with the president on 1,000 things. You go watch our videos on YouTube. You'll see me vehemently disagreeing with him on more things than you can imagine. But this isn't how you do it. You don't go to foreign leaders and write pen pal letters to the Ayatollah trying to make sure that our right wing and your right wing work together so that we could have war and light this world on fire so that your donors could make an extra buck. You disgust me. Anybody who's in favor of these kind of Republicans, you don't love this country. You go around pounding your chest. You don't love this country. You just love, your version of it, your ideology, and you'll undermine any president, anything this country does, so that you can go on hating Obama, hating Democrats, and living and bathing in your hatred. You'd even work with the Ayatollah of Iran because you hate Obama that much. You sicken me.